earlier at the beginning of the show, you said that when you originally played BioShock, Dom, that you never finished it. Jordan, your topic kind of relates to that, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. My topic is finishing video games. And a couple years ago, there was I think it was at GDC, they had a talk where these guys were presenting these statistics about how very few people actually finish the games that they start on these modern consoles, where you can see how much people are playing the game through the internet connectivity. And it was really just staggering to see the results of how few people are actually finishing the games they play. And of course, a movie is a lot easier to finish. It's a couple hours and you're done. Even a book is really only several hours, and games can span, 20, 40, sometimes even hundreds of hours. And so that's part of it, of course, is how long games take to complete. But there's also something to be said for the fact that games really push back against you, and you have to actually beat them to finish them. You have to overcome the challenges within the game. Reading a book or watching a movie, you're just interacting with it in the sense that you're watching the movie or reading the words on the page.
You've
but
clearly never read a choose your own adventure book. God.
But even there, you don't have to actually beat it. You know what I mean? You're just reading along, and it is a little bit more passive. So it's understandable that people don't finish as many games, but at the same time, I think it needs to be said that the way developers make the games is also a reason why people don't finish enough of them, because there's a lot of artificial padding to make you feel like you're getting enough bang for your buck. There's a lot of stuff that just doesn't need to be in games. There's plenty of, like you said with Mass Effect, or Dom, you mentioned Kingdoms of Amalur, where there's just all this extra dialogue that doesn't really need to be there and doesn't really add that much to the experience. And so for me, I've actually, I was talking about how I didn't play as many games in 2016. I also didn't finish as many games just because of the fact that I'm not pressuring myself to anymore. I think, between the three of us, we've probably beat hundreds of different games throughout our lifetime, being the gamers that we are. And so there's nothing I need to prove to myself. If I want to beat a video game, I know how to do that. But some of these games are just so long, I get my $60 worth, or I get my enjoyment out of it, and I play it for 20 hours, and I don't necessarily need to see the end. Sometimes the game's story doesn't matter, like a Just Cause or something like that, where it's more about the gameplay and the fun of the open world. Or sometimes the story's non-existent and it's really just about the gameplay. So I've just, like I said, I haven't been pressuring myself to finish games as much, because if I get my money's worth and I get my enjoyment, like I said, I know I can beat a video game if I want to. And so I don't feel like I need to finish games as much.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I think the way I look at it personally, and it's the same way I judge movies, and this is just my own personal thing, so anybody's, they can do whatever the hell they want. If I start something, unless I really, really do not like it, I'll finish it, just because I feel like I need to invest my time in it personally, right? So if I watch a movie, I have a friend who can catch a movie on TV that's halfway through, watch the half end of it, come back some other time and watch the first half of it whenever. I can't do that. I don't know, some people do that. Yeah. If I'm going to watch a movie, I sit there, I can't have any distractions, no one bother me, let me take this hour to myself, pay attention to the movie, because I want to respect the craft, right? Same thing with the video game. And you might be a little mad at me, Jordan, because the only game I did not finish this year that I started, that I had never played before, is Outland.
Quantum fucking Break.
No, I finished Quantum Break. I beat Quantum Break. It was in my game of the year.
Oh, okay.
So the only game I started that I didn't finish or even get more than an hour into was Outland, the Housemarque game that was a Games with Gold for Xbox.
Such a good game.
I didn't like it. I thought the platforming was too floaty. I didn't like it at all, man. And I don't want to butcher the game. I just did not like it at all. And I wasn't going to sit there and play a game I didn't enjoy, which rarely happens. I have a wide net for games I like, and movies too. I liked Batman vs. Superman. I don't think it was a great movie, but I liked it, which is, I'm in the minority on that, right? But I just couldn't stand Outland. I didn't like it, so I stopped playing it. I think a great thing now is that because indie developers are becoming such a huge thing, and there's the top tier and the bottom tier, and there's no really mid tier anymore, there's a lot of games that are shorter. Two of my favorite games of last year were shorter than a Lord of the Rings movie, Inside and Virginia. They were both short experiences, and they're two of my favorite games of last year. And I think that's a weird misconception with people, too, that aren't as involved as we are, that a lot of people don't know that there's games that are that short, that are experiences, that are, just shorter things to enjoy. And I think a lot of times when people think about video games, they're like, oh, and if I need to beat this game, I need to put 12 hours into it, which means I need to put 2 hours in every day, but I only have 5 free hours after work. And they're over here doing the math in their head, right? Whereas if they paid attention more and they realized there's these games that I can enjoy and have a good time with that are one night, half a night, not even that much, right? I think also the big thing that helps with not finishing games, and people might think that this is a weird way for the industry to go with all of these persistently online multiplayer games, and I'm not talking about the gear chasers or loot chasers like Destiny or Division. I'm talking more the Overwatches of the world, where there's these multiplayer games where you can just hop in and play and then hop out. You don't have to commit any time to it. You can just play it at your leisure, and you don't feel pressure to finish it because there is nothing to finish, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that helps too. And I think it is up to each individual person. I don't judge people for not finishing video games. It's their prerogative. Like you said, we played video games for so long that a lot of us could probably play a video game for maybe 15% of it and understand the whole concept of the game, right? And have a great understanding of that game. But we choose to finish the games because we like the story, we want to see it through, or whatever our own prerogative is. Like I said, I have a commitment to finishing games just because that's how I feel I play games, unless they're absolutely bad. I think that it's funny because a lot of people finish games early on, and as they grow older, they decide to not finish as many games. I was the opposite. When I was way younger, I didn't finish any games. I would just play them and have fun, and then would never finish them. And as I grew older, I started wanting to complete games, So, that's my whole spiel on it. Interesting thing, too, I don't know if they do this on PlayStation. You could probably say yes or no. But on Xbox with the achievements, they give a percentage of who's unlocked it. So you can see when you go far enough into a game and you get an achievement, it's like 2% of gamers have unlocked this. And it's like the 5th or 6th story mission. So it's like not even halfway through. You're like, wow, only 2% of people even made it this far? That's crazy. They do the same thing on PlayStation? That's crazy. It's just weird to see how many people don't finish games. I've blabbered though, so what do you have to say?
They give you that percentage, and then they even put a word next to it. So the platinum trophies are always labeled like rare because only 0.3% of people who started the game have it.
Okay.
And they go up the scale with it. So that's always interesting to look at, like, because you can tell 99% of people have this trophy. And that must mean you get it for turning the game on.
Yeah.
Then it's always interesting to see too. 99 is actually really high because it's usually around 80 or 90% of people have the first trophy in a game, which means people turned it on and started it, but didn't even get
past the tutorial
15, 20 minutes in. Right. It's well, what the heck? What's going on? Why'd you buy it? I guess I don't know. It's just one of those bizarre things.
How do you handle completing games?
I think I'm closer to you. So, especially recently, I have this kind of, obsessive compulsive disorder type thing where I need to finish it. And I can still feel it within me because I really want to get platinums, but it's just not possible. It's not feasible. So, I just use some logic and just convince myself that, I'm just going to suppress that desire to get the platinum. But so I will settle for just completing the main game. And get a couple of trophies on the side along the way, with a few exceptions of some games where I do plan on getting platinums eventually. But for the most part, I gotta kind of suppress that need. But I still I feel a need to complete every game, even if I'm not liking it that much. I want to see it through to the end. Do you have to do that? Of course not. They're not movies. How many people do you know go to a movie, see a movie at the theater or rent one, and then turn it off halfway through? I don't really like this. That you don't do that. It's just, there's less of a commitment. Even if even if it's just a movie playing on TV, you're still, I feel, if you've started at 20, 30 minutes in, you're way less likely to change the channel than, a couple hours into a game. You're more likely to quit. So it's two very different mediums, and you can kind of see that play out. But I'm super obsessed with, I have to finish games, especially because I'm so into Dark Souls and Bloodborne. There's a sense of yes, I've beaten every boss in this game. I've done everything. Haven't, maybe I didn't find every last little collectible and, gone and done the tedious, ridiculous shit you have to do to get trophies sometimes. But I beat every boss and I played through the story to completion. And to me, there's a sense that's part of the experience to me. And that's okay. You might think I'm crazy. That's what I have so much concern about that. Just play the game and enjoy it. But part of the enjoyment for me is that sense of completion. So, teach their own, I guess.
It is teach their own. I actually heard a story, it was on the internet probably somewhere, of this person that had a friend that the way they would buy a book at the store is they would read the back of the book, read the title, flip to the last page, and read the last paragraph of the book. And they would figure out if they wanted the book based on the last paragraph, which I thought was super weird. And it's funny,
Which, that doesn't even make sense, half the time the last paragraph wouldn't even tell you anything about it.
Exactly. It's madness. It's a lunatic. And it's funny that I think games are one of the only mediums in which people will feel comfortable dipping out if they're not enjoying it. You don't really see people cutting out of a book 12 chapters in. It's. I think it's a very unique thing to games. And, you don't have to do what we do. Dom and I are crazy people. Jordan came to a realization. You can do whatever you want. Whatever works for you, right? So, I think...
I'm just living the good life over here. You guys are working yourselves to the bone.
Right. I've always been like that, though. I've been OCD in almost every aspect of my life. So it's no surprise. I have such an issue with completing games, too, and, the pressure to 100% a game, or if I was a PlayStation guy, platinum a game. It just... You have to... It's part of it. You got to hush those demons.
I promise nobody's going to hurt you just because you don't finish a game.
No, please, they're going to come back.
So Jordan, the worst thing, and this is what drives the gears in my head just spin like crazy. I want to pull my hair out when I'm looking through my trophy list and I see all the 30%, 40% of the trophies in each game completed. It drives me nuts. I'm constantly reminded that there's still some achievements out there that I haven't gotten.
I've played I know I've played probably over 1,000 games in my lifetime. It's
your completion percentage is not gonna get any better no matter how many games you complete now. Is the way I look at it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
my PlayStation profile between PS3, Vita, and 4 with the trophies is there's so many games on that list that they're 6%, 2% trophies, and I'm just fucking man, I'm just not. I can't play games that way.